All right, hey everybody, it's David Kramer, the Critical Thinking Christian, and today I want to talk about the different rapture theories. I had a comment on my recent video by a woman who, uh, there's a thing with Christians. I had two different comments from Christians that I have a video, and all they want to tell me is, uh, Jesus is coming soon. Uh, get ready. They don't address the issue that I was talking about. They don't try to argue against it or for it. They just throw this random shit out. Okay, I had a video on hell and that, and how it probably comes from pagan sources, from mythology. And the comment I had from a Christian was, "It's eternal." Just it's eternal. Wind them up. But this particular person is also a now. When I was still a Christian and practicing, I believed in a pre-trib rapture. This woman, I don't know what she's in, but she don't believe in a secret pre-trib rapture. And there's different rapture theories, okay? There's pre-trib, there's pre-wrath, I think there's a mid-wrath, and then there's post-trib. And in the Bible, you can kind of get all four of them. I think the mid-wrath is harder. But, this passage here from 1 Corinthians 14:33, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints." And at this point, okay, you didn't have the Gospels. This is, actually Thessalonians. I don't know when Corinthians was written. I shut up about that, but that's the thing. You have the pre-tribbers like I was, pre-wrath and post-tribulation rapture. And this woman was saying how pre-trib wrath believers are false prophets and false teachers, but the pre-tribbers will tell them that they're false teachers, and the post-tribbers will say both of them are false teachers, and we'll say they're false teachers. And the world sees this, and they see confusion. They see three or maybe four different ideas here, and we're all calling each other heretics and false teachers and false prophets and liars and all that. And the world says, well, look at them. They can't even agree on everything. Who knows what's real? But, as long as you are there within your little group and you all believe the same thing, well, then you're right. Okay? I'm right. They're right. We're all right. So, here's the thing. God is the author of confusion because he did not make it clear enough that all Christians will have one mind. And I think it says here, let's see. I think there's a passage that says we'll all have one mind. We'll think. Philippians 2:2. There it is. Okay. Philippians 2:2. Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind. But, Christianity don't have one mind. Just in this here doctrine, there's 3 different or possibly 4 different ideas. So, when the person that is not a Christian, the non-Christian out there, sees this, like I said, they see confusion. Because you got all these, well, this here and that there, and this, it's like I had my salvation. How many ways do Christians claim you got to be saved? This sect believes that, this sect believes this, you got free grace, you need to repent and believe, you need to repent and be baptized and believe, and the Bible's not clear enough, and it's pretty much you just make it up and go, well, this here works. So I just wanted to, they say, well, you're supposed to search, you're supposed to study. But I say God should have made some of these clear. He should have made it clear. He's omnipotent. How hard was that? Well, they'll probably say, well, God doesn't get in the way of man's free will, so he just allowed them to write it the way they want it. Right. Because apparently this God, if he exists and if this whole thing is real, don't really want people to understand what's going on. And it's kind of like you're playing craps and you hope you roll a lucky 7. And you think you rolled a lucky 7. Okay? This is craps without dice. And God's like, well, here, you got snake eyes. It's like, what? Well, this is what I believe. Yeah, well, too bad. It's kind of like another thing I want to talk about. You take natural disasters. All right. Got something in my eye. You take natural disasters. Okay, you take the tsunami that happened. I forget when that happened. It hit Japan and India and Thailand and all them areas. It wiped out a lot of stuff, killed a lot of people. You have earthquakes. You have fires. You have volcanic eruptions. Tornadoes. And then you'll have some Christians come out and say, well, that's God's judgment because of this, that, or the other thing. Well, my question is, if that's God's judgment, how do the people in those areas know that's God's judgment? It seems that God's judgment would be much, I don't know how to say this. Now, take earthquakes. There's a fault line. I forget where the heck what it's called anymore. But there's a fault line that will sometimes affect us, where you'll have a little bit of a shake. And it doesn't happen a lot. It's very rare. But it's always areas where you have, like California has the San Andreas fault. Okay, then you have areas where there are volcanoes that can erupt. Tsunamis are rare, but if there's an earthquake in that area, the tsunami will happen. All of these happen in areas where it's bound to happen anyway. I'd be more, I'd take notice if this kind of shit would happen where it doesn't happen at all. I mean, he could shake the ground without having a fault. Okay, a fault line. Okay, well, there are no fault lines here. I don't know what happened, you know. But even that is kind of just vague. It doesn't. How do you? How many people in those areas, say where the tsunami hit, how many people realized right off the bat that God's angry at them and they need to get born again? Huh? You know, I guarantee you in those areas, whatever gods they worshipped were the gods they prayed to. So, and then, of course, well, God's angry about that. You know, this is the friggin' problem I have with this doggone religion. You know, the only way they're going to know is if Christians go over there and tell them. You know, until that, they're trying to do the best they can. They're going, well, we angered our gods, and we're going to have to do the best we can. We've got to do this, and we've got to act like that. And then there's some people, they're like, I don't give a damn. I survived, great. Let's go back to the party. You know, it doesn't make sense. In the Bible, you have destruction and stuff like that, and it's always, the people know it. Because God's like telling this guy here, this is what happened. You know, nowadays, well, I had a dream. Vague, very vague. And I'm look back in the Bible now and I see some of this stuff that happened and I say, you know, that happens. You take the Bubonic Plague back in, I think it was the 13th century. I could be wrong, but when the Bubonic Plague hit back during the Middle Ages, you know, that was under the Catholic Church, and they said that was God's judgment. Well, you know, that was a problem where people didn't understand that the rats have these lice, and these lice carried that disease. And when the lice got on the people, if I'm correct, you know, I can look that up. And they still have that. It's caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. Humans usually get plague after being bitten by a rodent flea that is carrying the plague bacterium or by handling an animal infected with plague. And it killed millions of people during the Middle Ages. But they didn't understand that hygiene. I mean, back then, I don't know how many times you see after a battle they're throwing the dead bodies in the river. It's like, and the people downstream, downriver, you know, well, guess what? Now you're sick. Because they didn't understand that shit back then. So, you know, these rats, you know, instead of eradicating them, they just allowed them to be on the ships. And I look at it that way. That's what the problem was. Not God. The judgment was essentially not understanding proper hygiene and how to keep yourself from getting sick. You know, and, you know, went on this ship to this port. They got it. And then they brought it back to the rest of the people. You know, so like I said, it's very vague. It's a volcano erupts in an area where the people are predominantly Catholic, and I come from a fundamentalist evangelical Christians, and we say that they're pagan. Well, what do those people do? They'll go in, they'll confess their sins, they'll light candles, they'll try to do what they can to appease God. And he sits there all pissed off because they're not getting born again. Well, they think they're working toward that. You know, be very clear about it. If you're omnipotent, get through to people in a way you can get through to them. But it never happens. I mean, so that's going to be pretty much what I want to talk about today. Uh, you know, it was on my mind, and these two things, the whole, you know, just uh, confusion. It's confusion, and you know, it's something I never really thought about when I was a Christian. Okay, if somebody said, yeah, that's because those people did this and God's angry at them, I thought, well, yeah, I can see that. Well, now I'm looking at that and going, no, nope, nope. If he wants to open their eyes, he knows exactly how to open their eyes. And doing some vague shit like that, okay, not being clear about a doctrine of a rapture, and having 3 or 4 different views, just this is ridiculous. You know, I hope I get it. Okay, so that'll be it for today. You know, let me know what you think. You know, like, don't like, subscribe, don't subscribe. But I'll be back. I'll make more videos, and until next time, this is David Kramer, the Critical Thinking Christian.